There are 711 items in the Binding of Isaac Repentance and only 15 transformations. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but one number is a little bigger than the other number. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, but having only 15 transformations is such a missed opportunity, especially when a lot of these transformations fall into 3 categories of either just being bad, underwhelming, or obscure, or even any combination of those. Today I'm going to dive into my problems with the current transformations, how I could fix those, and new transformations that could be implemented into the game. But first, did you guys know that only 15% of you guys are subscribed? No, don't worry, I'm not doing that, but I was thinking how just lame it would be if I did the video dressed the way I currently am. I mean, I'm just disgusting. Since the topic of this video is transformations, and since Halloween is so close, I decided to transform myself. So I picked up 3 items: egg, glasses, and coffee. And I transformed myself into Northern Lion. I am already full of antidotes. I cannot wait to tell you what day of the week it is and what happened to me yesterday at the grocery store, but first I must caffeinate. By the way, I searched a lot for a costume that was a hard-boiled egg and not just a fried egg, but I couldn't find anything, so this is gonna have to do. Okay, transformations in Isaac. Okay, so let's put all the current transformations in a Venn diagram over here. If you don't know what a Venn diagram is, I'll explain it real quick. Our Venn diagram has 3 categories: obscure, underwhelming, and bad. If I put something in one of the overlaps, that means it's both of the 2 things, like obscure and bad, for example. And being in the middle means it fits into all 3 categories. And just because if I say some of these items are obscure, bad, or underwhelming doesn't mean I'm necessarily opposed to these transformations. I will talk about that in depth more later. This costume. I gotta keep my head out, I'm sorry. Guppy grants flight and spawns a blue fly 50% of the time tears make contact with an enemy. Guppy is fantastic, probably the best transformation out of all of them, but it is in fact very obscure. Let's be real here, the only reason that Guppy isn't just completely irrelevant is because a lot of us fish for it. It's weird because Guppy is so popular, but it's a very obscure transformation. Beelzebub grants flight and makes flies friendly. I like it, but it is obscure indeed. Bob grants a poisonous trail of green creep. This is not only obscure, but underwhelming as well. Conjoined gives you the whiz shot effects, but you also get to keep your tier going down the middle. It also is a DPS down. So I did think about this a lot and where it will go on the list. I was thinking about all my experiences with Conjoined. I think overall in my experience, it's been a net negative having Conjoined. I know a lot of people love Conjoined, but honestly, I've heard a lot of arguments for both sides. It's purely the DPS that makes me just kind of go, oh yeah, that's part of this transformation, huh? Every time I get it. So personally, I'm gonna put it in the bad category, but that's not to say it can't be good, because it can be, but it's just very situational, and I think the majority of the time I'm not a fan of Conjoined. The oh crap transformation makes it so every time you destroy a poop, you gain half a red heart. This one is obscure and underwhelming. Adult grants a heart container after you pop 3 puberty pills. This is obscure. No, it's not. It's underwhelming actually, my bad. Spider Baby spawns a spider familiar that gives random effects to enemies when they make contact with the spider. This transformation is like Mod Buddy, but they took out all of the reasons why I like Mod Buddy. I think this is kind of bad. It goes right in the middle of being obscure, bad, and underwhelming. After getting 3 size up pills, you get the Stompy transformation. Stompy allows you to walk over rocks and other obstacles. I understand the argument for putting this in the bad category, but personally, I think I get more value out of Stompy way more than it hurts me. You just really gotta be careful around mushrooms or bomb rocks and stuff like that. So I will say this transformation is just underwhelming. Yes Mother gives Isaac a stationary knife that follows right behind him. It hurts to put this transformation in bad, so I won't. I'm gonna put it right in the middle for underwhelming and bad. Alright, hear me out. I'm never gonna say no to this transformation. Just because it's in the bad doesn't mean it hurts you, but it kinda indirectly hurts me. Let me explain. Any contact I do with this specific knife is purely just coincidence. Sometimes, you know, enemies will casually just run into the knife, and every single time I try to aim that knife and purposely hit enemies, more often than not, I'm gonna give myself damage more than I'm gonna hurt the enemies themselves. So personally, I really have never gotten the hang of Yes Mother, and I don't feel good about putting a transformation where after, you know, 1,000 hours I really can't reliably get the hang of it, I don't feel good about putting that not in the bad category, or at least in between bad and underwhelming. So unfortunately, that's where I put it. Super Bum replaces your 3 bum familiars with Super Bum. Super Bum then grabs all the consumables they would normally grab, but give you double the rewards they normally would. Okay, so the thing with this one is the effect itself isn't terrible by any means, but this is a very obscure transformation. Honestly, probably the most obscure. So I'm really gonna have to factor that in to my decision of where I'm gonna put this on this diagram. Long story short, good luck getting Super Bum at a time where consumables matter. You're gonna have to get RNGesus on your side. Like, honestly, good luck. It goes right smack dab in the middle, because odds are by the time you actually get Super Bum, you don't need consumables. While recording this, I forgot to mention Fun Guy, which is really funny considering how unremarkable and unmemorable Fun Guy is. All it does is give you a heart container, and I don't see it too often, so it goes in obscure and underwhelming. That's all for the Venn diagram. I figured out that there's 4 transformations that I just don't think fit anywhere here. Leviathan grants Flight and 2 Black Hearts. Seraphim grants Flight and 3 Soul Hearts. Spun gives you damage, speed, and spawns a random pill. Bookworm makes it so around 25% of the time, Isaac fires an additional tier similar to the 2020 effect. All of these 4 items I would consider good and not obscure. Depending on your playstyle, yeah, sure, they can be obscure, but if you're going to devil deals and angel deals and just doing all the right things to get Bookworm, they're really not too obscure by any means, in my opinion, or in my experience, I should say. By the way, here's a list of how rare all the transformations are from my experience, from most to least. This will be important for context later. By the way, if your experience is different, that makes a lot of sense. This game relies heavily on RNG, so if you disagree with this, I mean, that's fair. I've played a lot of Isaac, so I think this is not objective by any means, but it's pretty realistic. So let's look at the chart as a whole, and I'll explain why it's abysmal. By the looks of it, you might think, wow, there's only 6 out of 15 transformations that you like at all, and honestly, that's not true at all. I think any transformation that is in the underwhelming tier or the obscure tier by themselves is perfectly fine. It's when these transformations start going in between these 2 sections that just make me go, why? What's the point of having an obscure transformation that is also underwhelming or bad? There really isn't one aside from just a cool Easter egg or a neat fun fact. So I know we're talking about Isaac, and this could easily lead to a spark of arguments in the comments about how Isaac should be balanced, but I mean, it seems like it makes sense for, you know, all these transformations to be in a scale. The more obscure a transformation is, the better they should be, and the more common they are, the more underwhelming they're allowed to be. I have zero problem with the common transformation just giving you a simple HP up or a trailer brown creep or this counterfeit mod buddy, but when they start leading to obscurity, it's like, why am I working so hard or just getting really lucky for a transformation that doesn't do much? Because if you don't know these transformations are and you just get them casually for the first time, you're probably like, oh, spider baby, oh my god, what is this? And then you go to look it up and you're like, that was cool, I guess, but like, it's not going to live up to the hype that you think it should. If you move all the transformations that's in between obscure and underwhelming down to underwhelming, or just up to obscure, I would have no problems here. Even the bad ones, I don't hate it at all. Because first of all, it's very subjective. I know a lot of people don't hate these ones at all. But to have Conjoin give you this trade-off real quick, where it's like you can get extra shots, but you're going to lose some DPS, makes a lot of sense considering it's very common. If there wasn't that DPS down, it's just a very good transformation that you're going to see very, very often. So if you're going to see it that often, I do think it should have some payoff. And stuff like Mom's Knife, where it's just kind of underwhelming and not my cup of tea, throw it in there. I don't care. It's nice to have. It's a nice touch. It's something I'm going to see very often, so why not throw that in? And I don't even need to talk about how just pointless the middle of this Venn diagram is. There's no good reason for anything to be in the middle right here. Okay, I thought of one good reason. So Super Bum, I've only gotten it once in my 1,000+ hours of playtime, and honestly, it's very funny, and I think it kind of gets away with sitting in the middle of this diagram. You have to get extremely lucky to get 3 bums in the same run, and when you do get those 3, you get a flashy cutscene that combines them, and then when the cutscene's over, you get this sad looking beggar that looks dirty, has a mask and a cape. It's frowning, and then it just doesn't do much for you. The whole way they hype up that transformation for it just to be kind of that is actually really funny. So if you're gonna put something very obscure and just pointless, add some elements of humor, maybe some story behind it. Added something more than just powerful, so I don't feel robbed. Okay, real quick, let's just say that we're playing as Keeper and we don't need any health ups. Let's rearrange the Venn diagram to favor, Keeper. Oh no. Now let me show you how it looks when you're playing as the Lost and you don't need flying or health. Notice how it gets way worse. I'm not at all saying that these transformations should be able to accommodate every single character. I'm not saying that at all. I'm really just pointing out how many of these transformations rely on two things of being flight and HP. There are over 700 items, so many trinkets, so many cards, runes, so many secrets in the game, so many mechanics. And you're telling me all of these transformations heavily rely on flight and HP? That actually sounded really mean. I'm sorry about that. It sounds like I'm just yelling at the developers right now, and I'm not trying to. Just how it came across, my bad. I love odds like I promise. So if you get a run that either has a lot of HP or flight in general, a lot of these transformations go way down in value. By the way, honorable mention to how you unlock the planetarium. If you pick up 3 Zodiac themed items in one run, you unlock the planetarium, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of this with any other themed items. You could unlock a challenge, a trinket, an item, or a lot of other stuff that are in theme with the items you picked up. That would make up for lack of transformations because you're still getting value for getting these really rare and obscure combinations of items in a single run. By the way, I forgot to mention, I want to give a special shout out to my boy Super Meat Boy and my girl Super Bandage Girl. For some reason on the wiki, they're not classified as transformations even though they're like the exact same thing as Super Bum. Basically, these items have 4 levels to them and they slowly upgrade to give you your very own Super Meat Boy and Bandage Girl. It's weird to think about how rare transformations like Spider Baby and Beelzebub are, given how many items they actually have to their transformation. But the problem with that is the pools that they're in are just so big. You're seeing Mom all the time, you're seeing Spun all the time because those pools are a lot smaller. You're seeing Conjoin more often because familiars are in like every item pool. You're seeing Bookworm all the time because there's rooms that are dedicated to just books. It's kind of hard not to get Bookworm once in a while. So we just went over all of the transformations, all my thoughts on them, and all the downsides to them. So now let's talk about how we could improve them. The obvious thing to say is, oh, all the obscure ones, all the obscure and underwhelming ones, just make them less obscure and then we're done. I mean, sure, but that's a really lazy and not necessarily achievable way to make this happen. I want to take a look at the transformations themselves and talk about how we can add to them or rework them to make them just better. First of all, there's no good reason Spider Baby isn't the Beelzebub of spiders, where all spiders become your friends and are pacified. Or honestly, just make it so Spider Baby gives you the real mod buddy. Like adding that one extra step wouldn't make it more worth it. It would probably take it out of the middle, put it to the side. But small things like that are just easy ways to just increase the quality of some of these transformations. They don't all need big touches, but just a little boost here and there is gonna go a long way. For example, Fun Guy just needs to do a little bit more than give you an HP up. Give you a golden Liberty Cap or something like that. Or you could do one better than Liberty Cap and just get one random mushroom in your items. The Bob transformation could give you a green varicose veins effect upon getting hit. Or maybe the green creep doesn't trail behind you 100% of the time, but when it does and you're standing on it, you get that crazy DPS up that Tainted Blue Baby gets with one of his farts. Or poops, or whatever you want to call it. I think if you're going to make something as obscure as Bob is, then you really need a lot more value to that. I don't know if I've ever gotten this naturally in a run without using mods or doing a special challenge. You could also argue Bob and the Oh Crap transformations are one of those transformations where it's so funny, it's worth it, it's just a meme. I guess, but in my opinion, Super Bum does it best and sets the standard and nothing else touches that. You could also give blue babies brown creep trail to the oh crap transformation itself. Or maybe the oh crap transformations brings tainted blue babies mechanics into that run without negating your bombs. That would be hard to program. I'm sure you gotta find more buttons on this controller, but you could really make that work, I'm sure. One thing I want to know about these transformations is the quality of items that you need to get these transformations should probably equal to how powerful or how weak the transformation itself is. I think Guppy might be the perfect example of a near perfect transformation. A lot of the items that you need for the Guppy transformation, you're only picking up for the Guppy chance. And there are some good ones, but I will argue all of the good Guppy items are situational. Especially since half the time to get any of these items, you're sacrificing health one way or another. So these underwhelming or situational items that you might have sacked health for gives you the most OP transformation in all of Isaac. That makes a lot of sense. But it makes zero sense that all of these poop items give you such an underwhelming transformation, which in general isn't bad. Like if you get this transformation floor 1, that's pretty good. You're going to be able to heal a lot. But odds are you're not getting it until probably at least halfway through the game, and at that point poops has become a little more rare, which makes it just so underwhelming, and none of these poop items really justify that. And again, like the conjoined transformation, feel free to give some of these common transformations some kind of trade-off, like lower DPS for more shots or just things of that nature. I am so fine with that. It really is going to make you think about what items you pick up and when a lot more. There you go. Those are my thoughts on all the transformations and how to fix them. Now let's just have a little bit of fun and come up with some random transformations that could work for the game. Maybe getting 3 of these bedtime themed items will give you a bed that's guaranteed to spawn in a secret room once per floor. Picking up 3 dice in one run could guarantee a reroll machine in the item rooms and shops. You don't even need transformations to rely exclusively on items. Let's say you played a lot of cards in one run. At a certain point, you could have a set percentage chance to have a card you just used activate again in the following room. Getting 3 beans gives you the Jupiter effect. This shit writes itself. Spending a lot of coins in one run could give you the Greed's Gold effect, or it could magnetize all coins and just coins to you. If you get enough dead animals or dead animal parts, maybe you could eventually combine them to give yourself a pet familiar, and maybe Isaac could actually pet the pet? Just saying. There could even be simple stuff like if you get 2 flight items in one run, it grants you a small speed up. If you get 3 active items in the same run that when you use it, Isaac takes damage, maybe you could get the Antheme effect when you take damage. Okay, this one's a crazy one, but hear me out. Maybe if you get 3 familiars, you get the Whiz Shot effect, but you keep your tiers in front and it's not a damage down. Just hear me out. I'm sure there's plenty of ideas I missed, so let me know down in the comments. Before I go, there's one last thing I want to address that someone said. Someone already said, geez, 15 transformations? That sounds like a lot. I don't even know half of them already. To that I say, it's the Binding of Isaac. It's already a lot. I might as well get Bookworm. I have a lot of money, don't I? We can't take Blood Puppy. Wait, what? Am I breaking the game right now? What? Okay, we're gonna void this. Watch this. Okay, look at our stats right now. Oh my god! Oh! Oh! Dude, what is this run? Look, I don't even have to shoot in rooms. I can just go. Do you think we can do this without firing another shot? Just no more shots. Let's see how long we go without firing. Horny boys? Whatever it's called. Guppy. Guppy! This run. Oh my god, with this run, dude. Oh my god. I just did probably the hardest challenge in this entire game, motherfucker. There's redemption, guys. I think this is Dead God. I really do. Dead God! It's unlocked, baby! We got Dead God! We freaking did it! We did it! Oh my goodness! Yes! I dropped the fucking bomb again, dude. I'm done with Isaac. I dropped the fucking bomb again. My brain doesn't goddamn work. Yeah, I hate this character. This character is actually just bad.